You ever wonder what's really going on inside the head of a deep thinker? Well, today, we're going to dive right into their psychology. We're going to explore why the people with these incredible, fascinating minds often feel the most alone. I mean, it's such a strange paradox, isn't it? This whole idea sits right at the intersection of neuroscience, psychology, and, well, what it means to connect with other people. So let's get into it. Let's figure out the real reasons behind this deep feeling of being on the outside looking in. You know who I'm talking about, right? You've definitely met these people. Heck, maybe you are one of them. And look, they're not trying to be difficult or antisocial. It's just that, as we're about to see, their brains are, well, they're literally running on a different operating system. Okay, so what is actually happening on a neurological level? Let's get under the hood, so to speak, and really look at the fundamental difference in how their minds are wired to see the world. So this really breaks it down perfectly. Psychologists talk about these two modes of thinking. First, you've got system one. Think of it as your brain's autopilot. It's fast, it's intuitive, it's what most of us use to get through the day. But then there's system two. And this is where deep thinkers live, almost all the time. It's slow, it's deliberate, it's analytical, and it takes a ton of mental energy. It basically means they're always in problem-solving mode, even when there's no actual problem in front of them. All right, to really get to the heart of this, we have to talk about something called the default mode network, or DMN for short. The easiest way to think about it is like your brain's creative engine. You know, it's the part that kicks in when you're daydreaming or just letting your mind wander. And it's the part that makes all those amazing, unexpected connections between different ideas. And here is the absolute key difference. For most people, the DMN only really gets going when we're resting or chilling out. But in the brain of a deep thinker, it is always on. It's like it's lit up like a Christmas tree, constantly forging new pathways, spotting patterns that everybody else misses. It doesn't have an off switch. But, this incredible gift, this superpower of constantly making connections, it comes with a price, a very real psychological cost. This depth is truly a double-edged sword, and it can create these huge struggles that are pretty much invisible to everyone else. So first up, you've got the relentless curse of overthinking. I mean, a simple, casual comment from someone can be picked apart and analyzed for hours. They'll play out entire arguments in their head that are never, ever going to happen. And the result of all this? It's something psychologists call analysis paralysis. And it means that even the simplest decisions can feel like this monumental, impossible task. And all that overthinking, it leads right to this profound sense of isolation. I mean, this quote from an online forum it hits the nail on the head. They crave deep, meaningful conversation. But most of what's out there just feels so superficial, right? When you're dying to talk about the nature of consciousness and everyone else is just talking about their weekend, that gap can feel absolutely massive. So really, at its core, what we're talking about is this chronic feeling of being misunderstood. And it's not about being pretentious or thinking you're better than anyone. It's a genuine inability to just turn off the depth. It's like you're fluent in a language that almost nobody else around you even speaks. And what about that classic label of being absent-minded? Well, there's some fascinating research from Georgia Tech that totally reframes this. It turns out it's not carelessness at all. When a deep thinker seems to zone out, it's because their brain is just so busy working on complex internal ideas that, the small, everyday details kind of fall by the wayside. It's actually a sign of a highly active, really intelligent mind. Now, all this constant mental activity leads to another huge challenge, just sheer exhaustion. And I'm not talking about feeling a bit tired. We know from neuroscience that this kind of deep analytical thinking burns through a massive amount of cognitive energy. It's like they're running a mental marathon every single day. And that leads to a kind of exhaustion that's just really hard for other people to wrap their heads around. And then there's an even darker side to all this. Because they see the big picture so clearly, they often feel the full weight of the world's problems. Things like injustice, inequality, climate change. They don't just see these issues, they internalize them. And that often leads to this terrible feeling of powerlessness, because they understand the true, messy complexity of it all. Okay, but what if this whole experience isn't some kind of flaw that needs to be fixed? What if we've been looking at it all wrong? Psychology is now really pushing us to reframe this entire cognitive style, not as a burden, but as an absolutely irreplaceable asset. Yeah, let's go back to that Georgia Tech research for a second, because this is so important. That thing the world might call carelessness or being off in your own head, It's actually a scientifically validated sign of higher intelligence and creativity. Think about that.
So, if there's one thing you take away from this, let it be this. Your brain's complexity is not a flaw, it's not a defect. Yes, the loneliness is a very real side effect, but it's not because something is wrong with you. It's because you are operating in a totally different dimension of consciousness, one that most people, well, they just never get to see.
And this really shows us the unique power of your mind. Brain imaging studies show that deep thinkers literally bypass the typical neural highways. You make these distant, unexpected connections way faster than other people. It's how you can somehow link, I don't know, philosophy to neuroscience to what you had for breakfast, all in a single coherent thought. It's amazing. And please never forget this. The world desperately, desperately needs people like you. That ability you have to see the hidden patterns, to question everything, to explore ideas way beyond the surface, that is what drives innovation. It's what drives art. It's what drives all human progress. So, look, the goal here isn't to learn how to think less deeply. No way. It's to understand and to embrace this unique wiring you have. Yeah, it can be exhausting. And yeah, it can be really lonely sometimes. But that depth is precisely what makes you, and what you can give to the world, completely irreplaceable. So the only question left is, how are you going to honor it?